How you guys doing? Welcome to the 414 Morning Podcast. And we're just going to do a quick review of yesterday's games.
I got scars on heel that money can't fix it. My brother turned a snake just for that quickly. Gay love, they gay hate cause they mind real sick. I was 30 in the clock cause the pot got thick. Damn, change ain't change, only change switch clips. Gotta ride with that drum, keep that clip by my hip. See the pain in my verse every time you hear me spit. They told me keep my circle tight, but
I'm glad that the NFL is back. It has some exciting games. A lot of the games went exactly how I predicted. And a lot of interesting games that didn't go the way that I felt like they was going to go. So who knew that Miami wasn't going to show up to play football? I didn't see the coach just blowing them out. And Danny Dimes? I don't know, Giants. Look like you should have kept him. Maybe it's just the organization, but Danny Dimes was out there throwing dimes, right? He was out there balling. So far, you making the Colts look like they made a good move so far with sitting down young fella. Miami, like I said before, like I give it a couple of games. If it keep going this way, coach got to go. You got too much talent over there for that to happen. I'm not even opposed for having a quarterback change. And then we're going to go cap that off with the Ravens against the Bills. Super great game. If I'm the Ravens, I can't lose that game. Especially if I'm trying to take that next leap. You can't have Henry going for 170 plus yards and you lose that game. You can't. I was watching it in the third and the fourth quarter, and I'm like, yeah, the Ravens are playing like they don't want to lose, right? They playing not to lose the game versus playing to win the game. And I know many of y'all are confused, like that's the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. Because if you plan to win, you still scoring, you still playing hard, you still doing the things that got you that lead. When you play not to lose, you just trying to waste time. That's it. You just trying to waste time. Hopefully the clock is running out. But Ravens, the Bills are a professional football team too. And they just kept chipping away. And we know with a quarter left and you only down by 15, that's more than enough time. So, and me looking at it, both defenses need to correct themselves because both teams was getting whatever they wanted. The Ravens, you spent a lot of money on the defense, and you just can't stop anybody. It looked like the same Ravens team. Only difference is they score more, right? So, if you want a Super Bowl chance, you have to fix that defense, right? Good news is, if I'm the Ravens, can't nobody stop us from running. Good news if you the Bills, you found the weapons that you was looking for. Right. The Packers against the Lions. Packers dominated. Lions didn't stand a chance. The score does not dictate how that game went. The Packers dominated from start to end. And Micah Parsons, the effect was real, right? He might not show up on the stat sheet, although he did get a sack. But the fact that he was in there, it made the Lions shift over and have double teams on them, which allowed some of the rushers to get to Jared Goff, right? And the fact that he constantly put pressure in the backfield, it sped up the quarterback, so you couldn't be comfortable in the pocket making those throws. So the Packers against the Lions, the Packers pulled off the victory. That was 27-13, and I'm sorry to tell you, but the Bills ended up winning 41-40 off a field goal. And then we had some other games also. So I know I was talking about the Dolphins and the Colts. So that game, the Colts had 33 and the Dolphins only had 8. Right? The Cowboys and the Eagles. I remember mentioning that game. Wasn't that great to me, but the Eagles put it off 24-20, and the excuses was there. Well, if this person would have done this and this person would have caught this football, no, if you would have won, that's it. That's all that matters. Nobody care about excuses. Nope. Only thing that matters at the end of the day is the W and the L. That's it. One thing you can take away from that game, the Cowboys look a lot better than a lot of people expected. The Eagles, you don't look like you Super Bowl contenders. So you have a lot of things that you have to correct. And then we have the Chiefs and the Chargers, which the Chargers look like they took that next step. The Chiefs look mid at best. They don't look like the same team when they was going to the Super Bowl. They have a lot of things that they have to correct. We can say that because it was a different environment. I mean, we can chalk it up to that. Who knows? But the Steelers against the Jets. A-Rod. A lot of people felt like Aaron Rodgers was washed up. A12 still got that cannon, boy. Bam! Still locked and loaded, right? Throwing dimes. 4 touchdown passes, over 200 yards, and control the game. Did I not call it? Aaron Rodgers still balling out. And guess what he did? He's still outperforming some of these quarterbacks that y'all got in the top 10 list. And y'all ain't even put A-Ron in the top 10. Come on, put some respect on my boy name. Bam! That's what he was doing. You get a touchdown, bam. You get a touchdown, bam. You get a touchdown, bam. You get a touchdown. AR-12, baby. Locked and loaded all times. Man, still could throw the football around. Right? The Jets did look promising, though. And I know a lot of people going to say, isn't this the same Jets team that Aaron Rodgers had last year? No, it's not. They invested in an offensive line. They got different weapons receiving, different coach, different play caller. So it's not the same team. But the Jets, they did play with a lot of heart and a lot of grit. But at the end of the day, the same old Jets. So Carolina against the Saints, 20-13 in favor of the Cardinals. The Cardinals against the Saints. The Cardinals pulled off the victory. Again, it was one of those games where I could care less about. Wasn't that impressive? Was an eyesore. Wasn't that great to watch. I don't see both teams getting anywhere. The Jags against the Panthers, again, one of those games where if you was betting, hey, spread could win anyway. You didn't really care about that money. That was one of those little, you throw that in there, you know what I'm saying, for some bonuses. But, Jags pulled out the victory 26-10. We got the Giants and the Commanders, which we all felt that the Commanders will pull off that victory. Jalen Daniels didn't look great, but he did exactly what he needed to do to get that victory. The Giants, I wonder how long you go stick with Russell. Didn't have a great game at all. And it makes you wonder, at this point, should he just retire? We got the Bucks and the Falcons. Baker Mayfield. Right? He came off. He pulled out the victory. Clutch Baker. Game-winning touchdown at the end. But that was a highly competitive game. So the Bucks 23-20 against the Falcons. We got the Raiders against the Patriots. The Patriots put up a fight. I did pick the Patriots in this. But that's before I knew that they was gonna put the whole damn team on injured reserve. Right? At this point, they had the coaches suiting up. They pick people from the stands. Right? A lot of names you probably couldn't even figure out. Right? They just had a whole bunch of randoms. It was like the replacement players. But they did put up a fight, so the Raiders ended up pulling off the victory, 20-13. And Cleveland, right? You came out punching. You came out swinging. Right? You were super competitive. But to me, the difference between that game was just the points. The Bengals won 17-16. One thing I've seen from the Browns is the Browns, right? They have a good system. Joe Flacco, he managed the game, did exactly what he did. But to me, the difference between that one is if they would have had a younger quarterback in that could have ran for some of those first downs, and then when they had trouble in the pocket, you had a younger, elusive quarterback that could run, you would have won that game easily. I mean, you might have a player like that on the bench, but I'm not gonna say too much. I'm saying we're gonna see how far you gonna stick with Joe Flacco. And realize you need some youth out there. We have the 49ers against the Seahawks. 49ers put off that game. Again, that was one of those games that wasn't that impressive, not on both ends. So you could tell they need some improvement. We got the Broncos over the Titans, which was 20-12. Again, it wasn't an easy game to watch. And then we got the Rams against the Texans. Again, wasn't an easy game to watch. I felt like that game was going to be more exciting. But they always say defense isn't the sexiest, right? But it gets the job done. But one thing I have to leave off with, I'm glad that football is back. And one of those sayings that they always have is you can't take too much from week one. Right? A lot of people are still trying to figure out what they have to do on defense and offense. A lot of these players probably haven't played in preseason, so this is probably their first real action. And then you learn a lot once you watch game film from game 1 to game 2. So going forth, we should see the real versions of some of these teams. Again, this is my recap of the NFL action that happened yesterday. Today we have the against the Vikings. No, I said we have the against the Vikings. I'm sorry, I'm from Wisconsin, so I don't like to say their name, but we have the Bears against the Vikings, against one of those games that nobody cared. I'm picking the Vikings. Just because, right? But thank you for tuning in to the 414 Morning Podcast NFL Recap. See you next Sunday.
I got scars unhealed, that money can't fix it. My brother turned to snake just for that quickly. Gay love, they gay hate, cause they mind real sick. And I was 30 in the clock, cause the pot got thick. Damn, change ain't change, only change switch clips. Gotta ride with that drum, keep that clip by my hip. See the pain in my verse every time you hear me spit. They told me keep my circle tight, but that bitch